everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Amazons and Afripreneurs interview series from the stable of Agbari Multimedia Company, where we showcase and celebrate Amazons and Afripreneurs in the Africa continent. Our mission is to inspire you into greatness as we celebrate the winning Amazons and Afripreneurs in Africa. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section and we'll be sure to touch on them. Today, I am here with a woman of substance, excellence, and dignity. A bit about her.
Mariam Masha is a Senior Special Assistant to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on humanitarian interventions. She's a member of the 5 Board of Trustees for the Northeast Children's Trust, where she serves as Executive Secretary. She's also a visiting lecturer at the African Leadership Center of King's College of London. Dr. Masha was born in Lagos State and is married with 2 children. Dr. Masha obtained a Bachelor of Dental Surgery degree from the University of Lagos and a Master of Public Health from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. She became an Archbishop Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellow in 2013. In 2015, she obtained a postgraduate diploma in organizational leadership from the University of Oxford, UK. Dr. Temitope obtained a diploma of advanced studies in development policies and practice, conflict and fragility management from Geneva Graduate Institute. Dr. Masha has served in the public sector for 12 years, starting as a Senior Special Assistant to Babatunde Fashola, the 13th Governor of Lagos State, on transport education, where she worked on transport sector reform through human capacity development. While at Hopkins, she carried out primary research on the burden of disease from road traffic injuries in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Dr. Masha served as Executive Secretary for the Arrive Alive Road Safety Initiative and became the World Health Organization country consultant on road traffic injury prevention in Nigeria. She doubled as a board member of the WHO Mentor VIP Core Group. In 2019, Dr. Masha represented the federal government in hosting the Nigeria site event at the 74th United Nations General Assembly tagged Tackling Poverty for Greater Inclusion in the Digital Age, which was held in the United Nations headquarters. She served as a project lead for the execution of the Recovery and Peace Building Assessment on behalf of Nigeria in collaboration with the World Bank, European Union, and the United Nations, where she developed the report which was used as the basis for producing the Northeast Development Plan. Dr. Temitope Mariam Masha is a self-motivated and result-oriented executive with outstanding management experience in both public and private institutions. She is an astute problem solver who flourishes in demanding environments and possesses experiential expertise in conflict management and provision of durable solutions. Dr. Masha is an African Amazon and role model to many young girls and women.
Welcome, Dr. Masha.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. So welcome to this series where we celebrate and we use your stories of people like you to inspire young generations upcoming. I'd like to go into the questions immediately if you don't mind, because of the time. I know that you started out as a dentist, so you've dabbled into public health and onto different management roles in both public and private institutions. Let's just have a bit, summary of what inspired you to go through these career choices and how you survived, you pushed through.
Thank you very much for your question, and thank you first of all for having me to share my experiences. I think we all continue to live and learn from one another, and this platforms such as this are a good opportunity for us to continuously learn and enhance ourselves, and of course, again, build a strong bond as women as well. I would say that the one thing I was sure I wanted to do was to practice in the field of medicine, dentistry, as it were. And that's where I started off. How I wired off was a completely different story. I was interested in the practice, but I was interested in, I think at the core of it for me is working in a field that would have an impact on multiple people at the same time. So spreading it as opposed to just, focusing on just one thing, but how am I going to be able to impact the lives of many people at the same time? As funny as that sounds. So it was more, I was looking more in the line of community practice. And I think that informed my going into public health. Um, but going into public health, you always, you plan certain things. I think I wanted to do hospital management. And I think that also came from my experience practicing as a house officer in Luz and the stint I had at the General Hospital Randall at the time. For getting into study public health at the Johns Hopkins University at the time, I found that my choices were kind of straitjacketed. It was international health was where I found myself because though I went in to do health systems management, it was mainly focused on the US system. And what I wanted was something that would help me get back home and be able to work in a system like ours and see how one could have an impact and one could certainly add value and improve. And so I had to move into international health. For moving into international health, my first assignment was on secondary mortality from police pursuits. It was a group project. And I found myself researching, crashes as a result of police pursuits, how accidents would happen from police chasing the bad guys, as it were. And in researching, I veered off into, okay, what actually happens? Let's even look at road traffic crashes in Nigeria and what that looks like. And I never looked back. It just was something that really piqued my interest. So I veered off into that, and that was what I more or less threw myself into. What were the drivers? How could we prevent this? What the numbers looked like in Nigeria, and it was something that really weighed on me because at the time a lot of focus was on communicable diseases, and even in non-communicable, people were not really looking into the impact of road traffic crashes, which at the time was going to be the third leading cause of burden of disease. So that piqued my interest, and that was how I got into that space. And moving into that space, by the time I was wrapping up my research, my program, I stayed on to do some work. Coming back home, I really just found myself in the space. I was fortunate at the time that the WHO was looking for someone to lead some work locally at home. So I walked right into that literally. And by the time I was wrapping that up as well, I had an opportunity and it was a chance meeting with the then governor of Lagos State, who also was looking for someone. So I think I have been fortunate. I have no apologies for for studying hard, working hard. But I think I've been lucky to have been at the right places when my skills were required, and that gave me the platform to grow. So from there, I just basically got into the public sector and have moved on from that.
Dr. Masha, I do believe that you were lucky, but I also believe very much that you pushed yourself to high standards. But these days we see standards being lowered everywhere around us, and how I wonder sometimes how do we bring the people to maintain the right standards in society? How do we bring it back? It used to be a culture, but it's now called old school. How do we bring this back and maintain it and ensure that people have the same kind of drive that you had, that met the luck you think was what you later met?
Yes, thank you for that. And again, when I say that I was lucky, I'm just being honest about it. That I agree with you. I definitely worked hard. I have no apologies for that. I worked very hard. Yes, I studied, but at the same time, there was that element of of what led me in my path. But again, if one doesn't one doesn't position himself, and it's just about being diligent. being hardworking, being focused, being driven. And it's a culture that we have to get back. I think also patience. Right now, you find people who are, yes, they're really focused and really driven, but it's you have to go through that process of watching paint dry. When you paint, it doesn't dry in 5 seconds. I mean, there are new paints now that probably, but it does take some time, and you need to incubate it. I think that's probably what is missing more now. Because yes, but I would say that for my cohorts, we were focused, we were driven, we knew where we wanted to go, and I certainly knew where I wanted to go, and I was ready to do the work. I was ready to start from down, and I was ready to grow and learn. I think another thing is the mindset. You have to have the right mindset. I When I work, I throw myself at it. I don't necessarily see it. I don't see it as punishment. I see it as what it is. It's work, and I see it as a learning curve. I don't think that I ever lose from any experience that I am in. I take the lessons from it, and I win, I fail, I fall. It's all part of what has made me who I am. And I can look back and say, well, yes, I'll have done this differently, or next time I will do this. But in the moment, I don't sit and move over, I'm failing at this. No, I'm learning a different way to do it, and I'm learning a way not to do it. And I think also surrounding myself with people and having the right set type of people, either as friends, as a group, or people that one can seek advice from, knowing that no one has monopoly over knowledge. Okay, and there's a humility that comes with that, because you don't know everything. And you can learn from anyone. You can learn from watching ants move, and lift things. And you watch what are they doing exactly. And it may look like it's a small insect you can step on. But if you study it, you will take something away from it. And that's I think how I am wired. And so it actually helps me. I think it's one of the things that we need to work on now with people who are trying to achieve something. You can get it, and most people are driven because you talk and you hear the passion, but you need to be able to match that with the grit. And no one teaches you that grit. They're not going to teach you, or you need to be patient, you need to learn this, but you have to, and if you watch how successful people have been, you have to. There is a degree of patience, humility, hunger to learn, and essentially just throwing yourself right into it.
If you are watching and you're not learning, I don't know what you're doing. I'll go on a very short musical break, and then when we come back, we'll continue the very interesting conversation. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Masha, for being with me this afternoon. I quickly want to go into, some of your strategies, the risks that you took, and some challenges that you encountered on your journey so far. I know it's not without some of those challenges. Please share with us strategies that you used to combat them, some of the risks that you had to take, and how you faced them.
I think in the line of work, I have been in public sector, if I put it that way. I've done some private, but largely in the public service. It certainly isn't easy. But I feel like if we don't get involved in those spaces, you can't really make the changes or be a part of it. There are certain responsibilities that we all have. We want to see Nigeria as a better place. We want to see our states thrive. We have the responsibilities, of course, to be part of the process, to vote. But if you do have the opportunity to serve, I find that that's what gives me the biggest joy. It's not necessarily the most thankful. It's a thankless job, let me put it that way. And it's definitely a learning curve, and it's learning in so many ways, because most times we find ourselves within our own bubbles. I can be in my bubble and look at people or look at situations from where I see it only. But when you work in a space like this, you tend to interact with multiple people, different cultures, different tribes, religion. The experiences I had at the States, for instance, were helpful in settling down where I am now, which is at the federal level. But they're still different. They're all different. They're There's still different circumstances, but one learns and one is able to apply that. I think that's one of the biggest things for me is just, as I said, it's a continuous learning. You're in a public space where you are able to appreciate ourselves more as a people. You learn to stop being judgmental. You want to solve a problem. You look at it as much as possible from the other person's point of view. Why are things happening the way they're happening? And you try to understand that, to use that to then go back to find solutions to whatever challenges that they're facing. I think that's the biggest thing for me, because it's not always easy. I find that if I'm looking at 100%, I probably spend maybe 60%, 70% first understanding, managing people, managing myself, certainly, egos, including that of myself, knowing when to step down and when, okay, no, I'm not going to take this, but also learning about the other groups that one is working with and working for. So once you are able to get that, then it's easier to then work with and find solutions to whatever problems. And I say that because I've worked across a diverse would I say sectors. So from transportation, for instance, to education, to where I am now in the Northeast, working on finding durable solutions for people who've been displaced by a number of things. And so it's I find that I have a breadth of knowledge and a breadth of experiences, but I'm able to do that because again, learning my way through the solutions. That's pretty much it. It's not the easiest position to be in, but it is certainly very rewarding. It's very rewarding, and it starts from having the right mindset. What are you here for? How are you going to work given the tools that you have?
So now that you've talked about your work, I'd like you to break down what you understand or what you consider failures and successes to be. Sometimes we consider rewards monetarily. Most of this generation consider everything when I hammer, when I arrive mentality. So what would you consider failure? How do you see failures? How do you deal with failures? Do you have such setbacks in your career? Did you have?
Um, to be honest, I keep saying it that I see everything for me. It's really just learning. A good friend of mine, Professor Putali, says it's win or learn. And I do believe it's win or learn. I believe, I can't point at anything and say, okay, I failed at this. It may not have worked out the way we probably set out, but it's to continue to adjust. The challenges will always come in. Even when you do have the perfect plan, or what you think is the perfect plan, when the rubber hits the road, something will happen that you didn't plan for, or you did plan for, but just didn't quite work out the way that you did. If I give an example of one of the projects I was working on, when I first started my current job and working in the Northeast, that in that particular project, we're trying to find a solution or how to manage children who had been made orphaned or vulnerable by the conflicts in the Northeast. And I'm coming from Lagos. You have this idea of what housing should look like or the school should look like. And we came in there with that whole mindset of, we have to build this and put this, and everything has to be perfect. But it's not that everything doesn't have to be perfect, but you must contextualize everything that you're working and where you're working in. If I build, for instance, in Lagos is landlocked, so we build up. But you go to a place where there is land, so people build and they spread. So it's going to be, it's not that it's strange, but it's not something that is common in that environment. For instance, to say, we're building up when we should build sideways. It may look like it's insignificant, but it's important. So the first thing is, shed what you're carrying and going there with that open mind. Try to understand what's going on and understand why things are done the way they're done. Now, I keep saying that, it's not actually your job to change someone, but it's your job to assist in opening the mind enough for that mind to grow to be able to maybe challenge the status quo, ask the questions. Why are things this way? Why shouldn't they be somewhere else, somehow else? And once you can get the people to challenge that and to see it differently, they own it, they embrace it, and they deal it. So if you come in with, I have to do it this way because, what makes you think that you're better than anybody else or you have the answers? You know what I mean? So that's one thing I've learned. And I think it just takes me back to, you really have to be humble enough to know that, yes, I am who I am. I have no apologies for who I am, but I'm not who says I know more than the other person. I'm judging because of where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. And I don't see any situations that really as having failed. If something doesn't go the way we've kind of planned it, it's to, okay, what went wrong? How did it go wrong? How do we get back on track, or how do we change track? So it's adaptability and flexibility are the things that I have at the back of my mind in anything that I do.
So failure is a win or learn situation, no matter how you see it. I'd like to talk to a young lady watching out there right now about the power of collaborations and how how to network, and especially about how what role character plays in all of this.
Collaboration,
You get
networking,
me?
those are
If you had
it's very powerful. And it's something that we have to open our minds to and certainly apply ourselves to. You tend to find people working in silos because everyone wants to be the best and the only one or the trailblazer, and you can, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be. But again, like I said earlier, that no one has monopoly over knowledge. And you have strengths. As you have strengths, you do have weaknesses, and somebody else might be the one to complement what you're doing. And once you're comfortable enough in your own space, in your own skin, in what you know, in who you are, that's when it's easier to say, okay, you know what, this person jump on board, because the person coming on isn't going to dim your light. No, he has his own path that is already set, and you have yours. And there are times we come together and we separate again, but we do come together to complement each other. And that is key. And it's something that as people generally, and importantly as women as well, it's something that we need to do. You find people sometimes say that we're so competitive. And it could be because, the way women have been positioned for a long time. So we're so competitive, we don't even see it when we begin to hurt each other. So it's important that we know that we're competitive, but who are we competing against? It's, yes, yourself. You want to be better than yourself the next time and the next time, but not at the expense of somebody else, and not at the expense of losing a relationship that can probably even help you project yourself even better, as it's helping project the other person as well. So I think it's important that we support ourselves, and we start even from nurturing young girls. Nurturing young girls. I have a daughter. I certainly, I encourage her to be whatever it is that she wants to be. It's the same way I grew up with my parents and my family, in terms of support. Whatever it is and that you want to be, you can be. But you also need to, like we talked about, collaboration and networking, something we must open ourselves to. We must nurture those that are coming behind us. We've been fortunate to have people that have supported and nurtured us as well. But it's important more now than even before for us to collaborate, and collaboration across sectors. Like I said, we're human to begin with, but then we also need to support and strengthen those who've been marginalized, whether it's women, whether it's whatever groups it is.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. I am learning. I don't know about you if you're listening, but Dr. Masha, let me just see. If you were not in this space where you are right now, what other career path would you have told?
Wow, that's that's actually a tough one. That's a very tough one. I am not sure. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I can't look back and say, oh, I mean, there are times when there have been lots of frustration. I'm like, what am I even doing? Why am I doing this? But I don't know that I would do anything different. I don't know that I'll do anything different. I love the space I've been allowed to work in, and I think I've had an opportunity to not just be in the public space. Again, it's about the impact for me, but also being able to work with people who have given me the elbow room to work. So it's one thing to want to work somewhere and get that job, but if you don't have the opportunity or the flexibility to be allowed to dream as big as you want to, and to certainly deliver and be allowed to think and have your own opinion and make your mistakes as they were and learn from them, it can be very frustrating. So again, I will go back to maybe the luck bit of being fortunate to be in the right spaces. But I don't think if I wasn't hardworking, I don't think if I wasn't pushful, if I wasn't driven and tenacious, I don't think I would have the opportunity, because I did have to get through, a few hoops, and that would reflect in a person. And
You know
if you're
that
suddenly able to get there and deliver on it, then you're certainly going to be looked for and sought after.
let's talk to that young girl again, because I don't want to forget the objective of the show, which is to inspire younger generation. Let's talk to a young new jambite, or what would I call them, seeking admission, someone stepping into campus now with an Amazon mindset, someone who wants to make a difference in society. What exactly would you tell that girl as they're taking that step into the future? What are the areas they should develop, the things to focus upon?
Yeah, I would if I look back at us, we tend to focus, yeah, you're getting into university, it's about you must get your grades must be fantastic so you can get this good job and marry and have 5 kids and 3 cats or whatever. But I think it's important to also let her know that yes, she should focus on her academics. It's very important. And what does education do for you? It helps you think. It helps you grow your mind. It helps you. It gives you that confidence to do anything you want to do. But also importantly is to cultivate relationships, friendships, and as you're just stepping into school, it's beyond just being in the classroom. What else can you do around yourself? Where do you want to go? So I want to be a doctor, for instance, and you look in the space that, okay, you want to practice medicine. What can you do even before you get to that point? What can you do within your community? What can you do for those around you? What opportunities are there for you to learn outside that field of medicine or dentistry or business administration? Even if you're in business, what else can you do to enhance yourself? So you don't lose anything by learning any skill, really. So it's the opportunity, because what it does for you is that it helps you it opens your mind beyond that one thing that you're going in and you're focused for. So get involved in student union activities. Understand what's going on around you so that you really can make a difference when you're done. And the opportunities will be immense, because you find yourself in situations. I remember when I was a master student, and I did everything from being a teaching assistant to, in a teaching assistant, I'm preparing notes, I'm reviewing things, I'm also getting snacks for classroom. And sometimes people wonder, why are you going to buy drinks, or why are you arranging this meeting? Isn't that somebody else's job? But as I grew in my own career, when I first got into the public sector, it was one of those things that, you sometimes find like maybe people want to test you to see how long is this one going to last. We've seen so many. This one too has come. How long would you last? And people might try to push your buttons, but because I've been in a position where I have had to organize a number of things, So from photocopies to arranging visas to booking hotel rooms, there was really nothing I couldn't do. So if you tell me, oh, there's no paper, it's downstairs, or you have to go to block, so, the expectation is that, I'd look at myself and say, look, I'm a doctor now. After how many years? Somebody's telling me this and that. But I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going right there to look for it. And as you do that, you build relationships. You also learn because you know where to go and what to do, who to ask a question. So again, it comes back to humility, but it comes back to the experience I had as a student as well. So going into school, not to block your mind into just, I'm going to class and I'm back. Yes, I'll go to class and I'll come back. And I also observe what's going on in my environment. I learn about different people and different cultures. I get involved in activities. I can take on a job that may be completely different from where I am, but I will take away a skill from that. And by the time you're done, you're enriched in a way that you can't buy it. You can't buy that. Even if you went to school, you still need that. You need the experience and the experiential knowledge. And that's what really school does for you. So it's to not lose focus of that, because we tend to be so focused on just the academic part of it. But there's a lot more that goes on. And to also reach out to people. I was watching a documentary the other day, and it was a group that was trying to make it big in the industry, and they had a chance encounter. They were chance encounter because they set it up. They would sing and they would stay in places where big stars would pass, and they were able to meet with one of them, who just gave them the phone number he could remember. He thought they were good. I just gave them the only number he could remember, and they called every day for 2 weeks. And he said, look, this guy is called every single day. And because of that, he picks the call. And they became one of the biggest stars in the world. And that is being tenacious. So there could be an element of luck that, oh, this person is performing and I happen to be there at this time. But how do I also position myself? Which I think is kind of what my story has been like. It's like, okay, there's that opportunity, but I'm not going to let it pass. I will be there and I will find and I will send that email. And one day somebody will answer. So those are the pieces of advice that I would give probably a young me or a young somebody else going into school.
Thank you so much, Ma. I enjoyed this conversation because we see a lot of young girls out there. They really don't know where to start. Nobody's telling them when you go into school, don't focus on just one thing, query the norms, look around you, what problem can you solve? Be hands-on. And most people are not humble. The part of humility is missing when you have to serve coffee at a meeting, for instance. Some girls will be like, no. That's why they have the cleaners there, or just be. You don't know when you make that connection with the person that will be a destiny helper, if I would use the street language. But thank you so much, ma'am. How do we stay in touch with you on social media? What are your handles, if you don't mind?
Right.
Is there any older any group that you belong to for mentoring purposes? I personally think you should mentor more.
Well, I am on social media, but I will be very honest. I am a bit of a technophobe, so I'm a dinosaur. So, but I think I have an Instagram handle, which is Dr. Masha Mariam. Yeah, I think the best way to catch me is probably on WhatsApp or uh, by email. And yes,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the management of Agbari Multimedia, we say thank you for your time today and for those impactful words that you left with us. I don't want to forget, win or learn, no failures, win or learn. And for the young girls out there, when you look around you, start now, look around you, query some things that you think are not right, think of the ways to solve those problems and be humble. Humility is key. And to the Agbari Multimedia family out there watching us now, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Till I come your way again, I am Nima Akasha Zibiri. Be inspired by this interview and get ready to watch the next Amazon and Afripreneurs to be celebrated on the show. Thank you so much, Mama, for being with us. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.